Come with me as I upholster this footstool. This is one of the standard footstools that I tend to sell through my business, which is currently just me, but I love it. So at this point, I've already measured out and sewn the fabric together, as well as cutting the box frame, lining it, and just constructing the frame. So the first thing I do when it comes to upholstering is I mark out the corners, which is what I'm doing here, and I staple each corner in place. I then look at where I have marked out my middle of the fabric and the middle of the Ottoman, checking that the fabric pattern aligns exactly where I want it to. I then go over and staple this in place, staple it all the way along. With this, again, I'm just checking, especially on prints like these where it's a tartan checkered print, I want to make sure that everything is lined up perfectly. I don't want that fabric to be being pulled over and the print being wavy and not being directly flat with each of those lines. So once I have the whole fabric stapled in place, I then get the tacking strip. So with this, I just lightly measure it along. So this is the length one, and then I do the same on the depth of the box as well. Just roughly cutting it and then making sure that I have enough for all four of them. When I staple these in place, I like to make sure that they're ever so slightly off of the edge, as I find sometimes if you have it too close to the edge, then when the fabric pulls over it, you have a little lip inside the box which is more likely to get caught. So if you're getting things in and out of it, you're more likely to catch the fabric or catch something on it and pull up that line. So I just double check that it's slightly off of the edge as I'm stapling this in place. I then, super speedy, I wish it was this quick, go around and staple the whole of the tacking strip in place for the entire Ottoman. Again, making sure that at the corners I pull it in slightly. I then go round with Dacron. So again, this I staple in place along the top. I tend to only do the top, and then just where I start or I go onto a new piece, I give it a couple of staples at the bottom just to hold it in place whilst I'm working. But I just do this round the top, and then you'll see shortly that when I go on to pulling the fabric round, that then pulls everything over. And apologies for the high-pitched screaming that comes up in these videos. When I'm trying to do ones where you can hear the staples, that's my air compressor in the background. So here I'm making sure that where I've sewn the fabric together, that it points in the direction that I want, as you don't want it flicking between, like the thread flicking between left and right, as then you'll get like wavy lumps on the corners. And I'm just making sure that I'm pulling this over bit by bit as it's sewn to fit perfectly. So if I pull over one corner too much, it might split the thread on the other side, or just make it go wavy. And this fabric really sticks to the Dacron, so it's really hard to adjust it once it's already in place. When it comes to these, the bottom at the corners, I tend to do the corner staples first and then cut out that fabric so I don't get a big bulge where I've got these bottom corners. And this tends to make it a lot neater, and then I just pull the fabric over. I do have a better close-up shot. Here it is. So this is how I get the fabric neat. I use the lines, and on fabrics like these, it's really important, but also kind of easier if you've got the line to follow. So this is what I'm doing here. I'm just making sure that the line looks flat the whole way across. So it's a nice, easy way to kind of double check that you're doing it properly, the fabric's pulled tight, and that nothing's in the wrong place, basically. So I do this around the whole Ottoman, cutting off the excess fabric. I think I did forget to record putting on the base lining fabric here, as well as the main lid upholstery, but you get the gist. And the base lining is the same as lining of this lid here. So what I tend to do is I do 3 staples across the length, and this holds it in place, and then I do 3 here across the depth or width of the base or the lid. And this just makes sure that the fabric is pulled tight and it avoids any creases as I'm going along. And then once I've got that kind of cross in place, then I can go over as so, making sure that everything's all neat, and I try and keep my staples the same width apart. I do swap to black staples for this part of the upholstery, just so it's cleaner, looks nicer, and you don't have the shiny silver. This Ottoman, I think, was a 100 by, no, I lie, this was an 80 by 50, or possibly 100 by 50, I can't actually remember. So I'm just putting in the hinges here. I tend to use cranked flush hinges, so these go over the box, and then I screw these in, one dead center, and the other two I tend to do 13 centimeters in. This is best for when I put the gas strut on, and it helps keep everything in place and secure. I personally find this easier to do on the floor, leaning against a wall. I've tried to do it on the table, but when you've got quite a big box and a big table to lean over, it can just get quite awkward. So I've been doing it like this for 2 years, where every single time I just find it easier on the floor. And after I put each screw in, I just double check that the lid is still in place. And once it's all still aligned perfectly, I then go in and screw in all of the other screws in these hinges. So I think there's 4 on each of these. And then I go ahead and put in the gas strut. Again, I make sure this is in the same place. I use quite good quality ones of these, so they've got quite a smooth action. And you only need one on the left hand side, or it's a bit too much. I hope you liked this. If you're interested in seeing any more of my videos, then come check out the rest of my channel.